having a great weekend and a great start to your summer. I figured I'd jump on here and give a very special video for this month to help kick off the summer and warmer months, especially since how it's been warmer than normal. Now, for those of you who followed my channel for a while, you know I'm a big proponent of staying hydrated and drinking water. And I really emphasize getting the water in before you do any kind of strenuous activity, especially if you're like an endurance athlete doing something out in the heat for a long period of time. This month I want to give you a little bit of insight on the stages of staying hydrated, the parts of staying hydrated. Drinking water is just part of it, of staying hydrated. The other part is making sure you get your electrolytes in. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that electrolytes are what balance the concentration of water in our body, whether it's in our blood, in our organs, and in our muscle. When your organs are dehydrated, you can have a heat stroke because your organs shut down because it's not properly hydrated. When your muscles are dehydrated, that's when you start cramping up. If you're cramping up, it's because your muscles are dehydrated. So this idea of putting what I call these microwave bags on you to make you sweat is just crazy. You're basically microwaving your organs. Your body doesn't store a lot of water under your skin. It stores it in your muscles and in your organs to help keep your body function properly. And the bad news for the women watching this is that your body is genetically made to hold water for obvious reasons pertaining to women's health. I mean, even at a very cellular level, your hormone, estrogen, naturally holds water to help keep women's bodies hydrated so their organs can function properly. Even for men, water is essential for health, for proper sex health. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but trust me, when a man's dehydrated, it affects his sexual functions. I mean, it's just crazy how people get crazy with trying to dehydrate themselves to lose weight and literally destroying their body in every aspect of their life because they're trying to get rid of water. Now, I said that electrolytes are a big part of this. Now, the two main electrolytes that we take in are potassium and sodium. Now, I've already shared in another video how I'm not a big fan of bananas for potassium just because bananas are just not the healthiest fruit. My go-to potassium source is celery. Celery has a more biologically available potassium in it. It has relatively zero sugar or zero impact on your calorie counts because celery is mainly fiber, anti-carcinogens, vitamins, and water. So you actually get a little bit, very minute amount of water from eating celery. This is my go-to for potassium. And I didn't know any of this until probably about 25 years ago, until I got done with a bike ride. My legs were starting to cramp up, my calves were cramping up, and I was crying. So I did some research to find out what was the best source of potassium for me. And celery was at the top. Celery and mustard are the top for endurance athletes. Mustard and pickles are the go-to source for potassium to help stay hydrated. Now, I say that because potassium is only part of it. There are other electrolytes that we need, whether it's magnesium, vitamin C works as an electrolyte, and sodium. Now, this is the kicker that a lot of people try to limit the sodium intake because of blood pressure. But if you're being active, you actually want a little bit more sodium because sodium and potassium work together to help keep your muscles and your organs hydrated. That's why when a lot of people are dehydrated and get emergency care from paramedics or go to the emergency room, first thing to do is they give them saline. Saline is mainly sodium and water to help get the organs and the muscles rehydrated. Now, for people who do extreme endurance activities out in nature during this time of year, like myself, we take in a lot of sodium. Now, if I had gone biking today, I would have taken in between 5,000 and 6,000 milligrams of sodium. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but you have to realize I'm out in the heat and in the elements for 5 to 6 hours, so I'm sweating a lot. Now, I'm not just sweating because I'm out because it's hot. I'm sweating because I'm being active. I'm biking. I'm getting my heart rate up. And when I sweat out a lot of that salt. I think it's something like 100 to 200 milligrams of sodium per hour of physical activity out in the heat. Now, here's the caveat. If you have high blood pressure, obviously you don't need that much sodium. And obviously you don't need to be out being active in the heat like I am. Fortunately for me, I am notorious for having extremely low blood pressure. Matter of fact, I recently went to the doctor to get some stitches in an eye from hitting my head, and the nurse was just scared because my blood pressure was so low. It was like 94 over. I think it was like 57, so, and that can be dangerously low. But since I am so active and since I keep my cardiovascular training up, she realized that it's pretty normal for me. Now, normal for me is right around 102 to 110 over, say, 70 to 80. That's pretty normal for me. So taking an extra sodium is not really going to jack my blood pressure up to some place that I might be in danger. So don't just worry about drinking your water. You got to make sure you take your electrolytes in, and that's potassium, magnesium, and sodium. Now, for me, when I go biking on my 40 or more mile ride, I like to take me some Powerade Zero with me because there's zero sugar in it, zero carbs in it, and this has like 240 milligrams of sodium per serving and like 80 milligrams of potassium. Again, a lot of times when you look at these sport drinks, you'll see a combination of sodium and potassium and maybe some magnesium because those are the electrolytes. Those are what your body's going to use to help keep your muscles and your organs hydrated so you don't cramp up, so you don't have a heat stroke and your organs shut down. So don't just focus on drinking your water. Get your electrolytes in. Now, I will actually take this, and I prefer drinking this as I head out because I've already eaten a big meal loaded with carbs and electrolytes before I go. Usually, when I do my 40 or plus mile ride, I will have a big family size portion of lasagna, and that has like between 2 and 3,000 milligrams of sodium in it, and then it has like I think 2,000 milligrams of potassium in it. Now that's great for me because not only am I getting the carbohydrates that I need for the energy that my body will also store into the muscles to help keep my muscles fueled and hydrated, I get the sodium and the potassium. that I need to help keep my muscles in my body hydrated, to hold more water while I'm exercising. Now, granted, to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of salt. I don't eat salt on anything. I don't really like cooking with salt. So the only time I really take in salt is if I'm getting prepared to do some long, hot, strenuous activity in the heat. Other than that, I'm not using salt for anything. So I've actually been tested for having low sodium levels before. So my doctor had actually recommended that I start taking in more salt because my sodium levels were so low. But generally, I'm not a fan of salt unless I'm getting ready to go for one of my long bike rides in the heat. And with the heat getting up like it is nowadays, regardless of where you live, sodium and potassium are key to making sure you keep your muscles and your body hydrated. And here's another thing. Don't think you're going to just flood your system drinking water all at once. When you try and down a gallon of water down all at one time, that throws your electrolytes off, and that can be bad for your health. In some cases, extreme cases, you can actually die because your electrolytes are thrown off. That messes with how your organs function, that messes with how your brain functions, and it could kill you. The best way is to take water in gradually. Now, if you know me, I take my water in a quarter at a time. A quart with breakfast, a quart with morning snack, a quart with lunch, and a quart with my afternoon snack. So by the time I get ready to go, even if I'm going to the gym to work out in the gym, I'll have a gallon of water down. And definitely before I get out in this heat and humidity, I have at least 3 quarts of water down, preferably 1 gallon down. And then when I get done working out, or when I get done biking, I take in a little more water because I focus on getting my heart rate up. For the 30 minutes after I bike, I am still dripping with sweat because my heart rate's up, my body temperature is going up, so my body's still sweating to try to cool my body down. So it's important to get some more water in after, but the key is to make sure you get enough water in before you get out in the heat and before you go to the gym. I tell everybody, it makes no sense to try to put coolant in your car when your car is overheating. By then the damage is done. It makes no sense to try to put water into your body when you're already overheating, when you're cramping up, or if you're, worst case scenario, if you're having a heat stroke, your body is not going to absorb that water fast enough to do you any good. So get it in before. If you've ever seen somebody have a heat stroke like I have, one of the first things that happens is they start vomiting because the body temperature is so hot. Literally the water in their system, in their bodies, just like when you're boiling water, it's got to come out. So don't try and force the water into your system when your body's hot, because it's just not going to work. It's not going to get into your system. It's not going to get your organs time. It's not going to get your muscles time. And your body may just reject it altogether. So get your water in first and make sure you get your electrolytes. Your potassium, preferably something like celery or tomatoes are another good source of potassium, but I'm not a tomato fan, so I stick with my celery like I have for over 20 years. Like this week, since I bite more, I took in celery. I ate celery twice a day, once with lunch and once with dinner. That way I can maintain my electrolyte levels and keep potassium in me. Now generally, I will take celery in like once a day, once in the middle of the day with lunch, because I'm getting the potassium into my blood system and into my organs to help me hold and balance the water levels. but you have to have electrolytes with the water. I'm not a big fan of all these sport waters. I'm more of a fan of just water. And if you're a big sport drink fan, I'm going to help you out. There's a difference between being hot and getting hot because you're active. If you're just hot because it's a hot day, you really don't need a sport drink with all the sugar and with all that. Sport drinks are made for a specific reason, and that is sports, athletes, because if you're being active and if you're an athletic person like I am, you're getting your heart rate up. As your heart rate goes up, your body gets hot from that. You start sweating, you start losing electrolytes. Just because it's a hot sunny day doesn't mean I'm going to lose a lot of electrolytes. Your heart's not pumping that fast. So please, if you're planning on being outside, being active, drink your water, hydrate, and get some electrolytes in you. Whether it's a Powerade Zero or I think they have Gatorade Zero now. These are great because they have electrolytes in them. No sugar, no carbs. Which, if you're doing something active like me, like biking or even working out, I like taking a regular sport drink in, like half of one before, because I get those electrolytes and the sugar, because remember, sugar is our body's main source of energy and our brain's main source of energy. Like for bodybuilders, here's the deal. Bodybuilders, before their competitions, they will like carb up, because the body will take the carbohydrates and store them in the muscles, and then when they drink water, guess what? Those carbohydrates in the muscles absorb that water and it swells up and it makes their muscles look bigger than they would normally. Use what a lot of guys call the pump, make them look swole. It's because they're holding more water in the muscles, and they're making the muscles look more thick and volumized. But you have to have your water in before you get out in the heat, and you have to have your electrolytes. The potassium and the sodium, those are what's going to help your body hold the water in your muscles and in your organs to help keep you hydrated. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you can't deny that things are getting hotter. So it's okay, as long as you prepare, as long as you drink the water and get your electrolytes in, it's not going to be that bad. But that's my little PSA for this month. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a good summer, and stay hydrated. Hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Have a great one, y'all. Bye-bye.